Sometimes, to understand a world that has already fallen silent, we must trace the cracks left behind, those thin lines where history still breathes. In the lands between, every fracture glows faintly with the shape of a forgotten god, and every fading ember of grace feels like the world exhaling in its sleep. So if you're lying in the dark or resting beneath the quiet hum of midnight, let me open the first file with you, a tale that does not begin with mortals, but with the beings who wrote the laws of life and death. If you enjoy these journeys, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell me where you're listening from, what time it is, and the topics you'd love to explore. Your thoughts may guide our next adventure. Sometimes, to understand a world that has already fallen silent, we must trace the cracks left behind, those thin lines where history still breathes. In the lands between, every fracture glows faintly with the shape of a forgotten god, and every fading ember of grace feels like the world exhaling in its sleep. So if you're lying in the dark or resting beneath the quiet hum of midnight, let me open the first file with you, a tale that does not begin with mortals, but with the beings who wrote the laws of life and death. If you enjoy these journeys, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell me where you're listening from, what time it is, and the topics you'd love to explore. Your thoughts may guide our next adventure. When we step into the lands between, we are not stepping into a natural world. We are entering a reality that was designed, a place whose sky, soil, and souls were shaped not by evolution or chance, but by laws written long before mortals ever breathed. And to understand this world, we must begin not with the people who walk upon it, but with the beings who decided what life itself is allowed to mean. The lands between are governed by a single overwhelming principle. Reality is a legal system, and the Elden Ring is its constitution. Every creature, every cycle of rebirth, every rule about death, spirit, or immortality, each one exists because it was coded into this metaphysical artifact. The Elden Ring is not a weapon, not a crown, not an item of power. It is the framework that defines existence. Without it, the world loses its structure. With it, the world becomes obedient to the one who wields its laws. And the heart of this system, the physical anchor that manifests its will, is the Erd Tree. Its golden light is not just beauty or symbolism, it is law made visible. Its roots are pathways of intention. Its radiance is the enforcement of cosmic order. To stand in the lands between is to stand within the shadow of a divine machine. But who wrote the laws? At the highest tier of this cosmology stands the greater will, an outer god whose domain is not the sun or moon, earth or sky, but the concept of order itself. It governs not through presence, but through emissaries, two fingers that whisper its intentions. And the Elden Beast, a celestial creature created solely to embody the Elden Ring. Together, they dictate how reality must behave. Yet no law can exist without a vessel to uphold it. For the greater will, that vessel was Queen Marika, chosen, reshaped, and bound to the Elden Ring. She became the living center of the Golden Order. Through her, the greater will could rewrite existence. Through her, grace flowed. Through her, the world was forced into obedience. But Marika was not alone within herself. She shared her being with Radagon, a second identity intertwined with her essence. Where Marika held doubt, Radagon held devotion. Where she questioned, he obeyed. Their duality was not a blessing, it was a failsafe. a built-in mechanism ensuring that, even if one half of the vessel rebelled, the other would remain loyal to the greater will. In a world so tightly regulated, even the goddess was treated as a component, necessary, powerful, but never fully free. Yet the greater will was not the only one vying for dominion. Other outer gods of rot, of frenzy, of death watched the lands between like rival architects. Each one sought to insert its own principles into the Elden Ring, to overwrite the Golden Order with its own design. What followed was not a war of philosophies, a quiet clash of cosmologies, each one attempting to imprint its vision onto the foundation of reality itself. In the end, Elden Ring's world is not a battleground of heroes and villains. It is a battleground of ideas, a struggle for the right to define how existence should function. Because in this world, whoever controls the Elden Ring does not rule the realm, they rewrite the meaning of being. Before the world fractured, before the gods turned upon their own laws, the lands between existed beneath a single, unwavering glow. The golden light of grace did not simply illuminate the land, it defined it. It drifted through every forest, seeped into every stone, and settled over every living being like a spiritual atmosphere. To breathe in these lands was to breathe in a direction, a purpose, a pull. Grace was a kind of gentle gravity, not physical, but theological, always guiding every soul back toward a single radiant axis, the Erd Tree. The Erd Tree itself rose like a great column, piercing the veil of the world, as if holding heaven and earth in place. Its branches were not just branches, they were expressions of cosmic law, reaching outward with quiet certainty. Its glow seeped through cloud layers, turning night into a pale gold dusk. Time felt slower under its presence, steadier, almost regulated. Life cycled according to its rhythm. Even death could be softened or delayed within its shadow. To the people of the lands between, the Erd Tree was not merely a sacred symbol. It was the physical spine of reality. At the heart of this world stood Lendel, the royal capital. Though to call it a capital is almost misleading. It did not resemble the seat of a mortal monarchy. Instead, it resembled a vast cosmic courtroom, an architectural proclamation of order. Towering walls carved in white and gold rose in vertical lines, like divine pillars holding up the sky. Every avenue deliberately aligned with the Erd Tree, ensuring that no path, no doorway, no public square ever strayed from its sight. To walk through Lendel was to be reminded that one walked under law, not under kings. The materials of the city reflected the very doctrine that shaped it: gold-leafed stone, unyielding, radiant, cold, columns resembling the metaphysical runes of the Elden Ring. Shrines and battlements pointed upward as if petitioning the greater will itself. Lendel's beauty was serene, but not gentle. It possessed the precision of a judgment, the clarity of a decree. Beyond its borders, the realm's edges told a different story. The forbidden lands and the mountaintops of the giants were not barren through neglect, but through divine conflict. These regions were scars etched into the landscape by the ancient war between Queen Marika and the fell deity of fire. Wind tore through abandoned watchtowers. Ash settled where snow should have gathered. To travel here was to feel the residue of a war fought, not by mortals, but between laws, between gods. And at the farthest edge, looming like a blackened star, burned the fire giant forge. Its flame never dimmed, for the god it belonged to could not be killed. only bound. The forge did not merely produce heat, it radiated a kind of imprisoned divinity, a reminder that not even the Golden Order could erase every rival. Marika allowed one giant to live, not out of mercy, but out of necessity. The forge was a tool, an ever-burning engine of power, kept alive to maintain balance, or perhaps to hold a threat in reserve. In these lands, everything glowed, everything bowed, everything obeyed. This was the Golden Order's world, radiant, structured, beautiful, and quietly trembling beneath its perfect surface. When the Elden Ring shattered, the world did not simply break, it unraveled. Every law that once held the lands between in gentle alignment began to twist, loosen, and decay. The first signs of this collapse appeared not in the skies or the cities, but deep beneath the soil, where the roots of the Erd tree carried the wound of a god. The death of Godwyn the Golden was not a death of flesh, but of soul. His spirit, pierced and emptied, fell into the labyrinth beneath the Erd tree, and there it began to rot. From that place of impossible stillness grew the phenomenon called deathroot. It spread like a black fungus through the root system, twisting tunnels into shapes that resembled veins, arteries, and wounds, an entire underworld reshaped by a single dead demigod. To walk these caverns is to walk inside the image of a decaying titan. Once grand root channels, meant to carry grace, now pulse with darkness. They are no longer conduits of life, but dead circuits, replacing the golden bloodstream of the world with something cold, stagnant, and hungry. Above ground, another kind of corruption claimed its throne. The region of Caelid, once vibrant, became a land locked in perpetual biological collapse. The scarlet rot, an affliction born from the outer god of rot, did not corrupt the land in the way disease invades a body. It consumed it. Soil crumbled into powder. Rivers thickened into poison. The sky turned red and swollen, as though the air itself were inflamed. Trees bent into skeletal silhouettes, their bark peeling like old skin. Hills melted into pits of toxic sludge. It was as if the land was being eaten, cell by cell, by a divine parasite. The result was a region no longer shaped by geology or weather, but by metabolism, a landscape digesting itself. To the west, Liurnia of the Lakes suffered not corruption, but collapse. When the Academy of Raya Lucaria fell out of unity with the Golden Order, its ancient wards weakened. Waters rose, swallowing farmland, roads, and memories. Mist thickened into a permanent shroud over the flooded ruins, giving the region a melancholy stillness. Liurnia became a mirror of intellectual ruin, an entire province drowning in the aftershock of broken faith. Every ripple on its surface feels like the echo of an age that once trusted knowledge more than grace. Even the once brilliant Altus Plateau dimmed under the weight of catastrophe. The golden shimmer that defined it turned ashen after the Erd tree burned. Lendel, a city carved to worship radiance, now lay beneath a blanket of falling ash, a quiet verdict passed down upon the Golden Order by the very tree that once upheld it. Columns crumbled under the weight of soot. Statues lost their gleam. What had been a monument of authority became a mausoleum of its own doctrine. And then there are the Forbidden Lands, where the effects of the shattering are not seen but felt. Grace no longer reaches these frozen wastes. Time seems to curl inward, as if reluctant to move forward. Wind, fog, and scattered bones blend into a gray horizon that refuses to acknowledge day or night. This is a realm disconnected, a pocket of existence the Golden Order no longer claims, an abandoned chapter of reality left to freeze in place. In the wake of the shattering, the lands between became a mosaic of dying laws, each region revealing how a world built on divine order begins to fall when its foundation cracks. Here, decay is not just a symptom, it is the new language of the earth. There are places in the lands between where the world feels thinner, where the glow of grace dims, and the landscape seems to remember things older than the Golden Order. These borderlands do not simply mark the edges of kingdoms, they mark the edges of truth. And if the heart of the world lies beneath the Erd tree, then its buried secrets lie in these forgotten thresholds. The most revealing of these is the Land of Shadow, the place where Queen Marika is said to have first set foot before she ever touched the Elden Ring. Here, the earth carries a different texture, a different age. Stone is darker, heavier, as though quarried before the world learned refinement. Architecture rises in angular shapes, neither divine nor mortal, echoing a time when the laws of reality were still in draft form. Light here does not shimmer with gold, but hangs low and muted, like a sun caught beneath ancient dust. The world feels unfinished, as though waiting for its true purpose to be written. But even this place of beginnings did not escape destruction. Mesmer's flames swept across the Land of Shadow in a purge the Golden Order never recorded, a deliberate attempt to erase a version of history that did not align with the Greater Will's narrative. Towers are charred silhouettes, temples collapse inward like memories folded shut. Charcoal black earth remembers fire that was meant not to punish, but to sanitize. Whatever truth Marika carried out of this land, the Greater Will saw fit to burn the rest. Yet it is to this very place that Miquella the Kind, the most enigmatic of the Empyreans, chose to return. Cursed with eternal youth, but blessed with a gentleness that bordered on divine compulsion, Miquella sought not glory or power, but correction. He believed that the flaw at the heart of the world lay in the original pact Marika made with the Greater Will, the original sin that bound the lands between to a borrowed order instead of one born from itself. The Land of Shadow mirrors Miquella's mission perfectly. It is a land stripped of gold, stripped of doctrine, stripped of the illusions of perfection. To walk its plains is to peel away the gilded veneer of the Golden Order and witness the raw, unvarnished beginning, a place where gods had not yet closed their fists around creation. Here, Miquella seeks to unspool the tangled threads of Marika's past, to understand her pain, her rebellion, and her mistakes, and perhaps to rewrite the very foundation she stood upon. But the Land of Shadow is not alone in its role as a frontier of forbidden truth. Far to the north, the mountaintops of the giants mark the boundary between two divine powers, the Greater Will and the Fell God. Here, blizzards howl like restless spirits, carrying the memory of a time when fire itself defied the Golden Order. The land stands frozen, not by nature, but by divine stalemate. To the east and beneath the earth, the eternal cities, Nokron, Nokstella, and Ainsel, whisper of civilizations that rejected the Erd tree entirely. Their black quartz buildings reflect an artificial sky, a desperate recreation of a universe they were denied. They tried to build a world beyond grace, and for this defiance, they were banished underground. And then there is the Halig tree, a fragile, incomplete miracle, Miquella's attempt to create a new Erd tree, free from the Golden Order. Its branches are white, its form unfinished, as if reaching toward a destiny cut short. It is a monument to a better world that almost existed. These borderlands reveal the truth. The lands between did not fracture from the outside. Its errors were written in from the very beginning. To understand the living systems of the lands between, we must begin with the beings who were never truly allowed to live freely. The demigods. They are not simply heirs to power or children of divinity. They are the byproducts of a cosmic struggle, fragments shaped by competing outer gods, each one carrying within them a flaw, a blessing, or a curse. And in these flaws, the true story of the world begins to reveal itself. Among Marika's lineage, the first name whispered is always Millennia, the blade of Miquella. She is called an angel, yet her body is a battlefield. From the moment she entered the world, she carried the scarlet rot, an imprint from the outer god of rot itself. Her existence defies the Golden Order's definition of immortality. While Erdtree's laws forbid true decay, Millennia embodies a cycle of self-destruction and rebirth that exists outside Grace's control. Every step she takes is a negotiation with the god inside her. Every bloom of rot is a reminder that not all divinity obeys the Golden Order. Beside her stands Miquella, her twin cursed in the opposite direction. Where Millennia was forced into premature ruin, Miquella was trapped in perpetual innocence, a child who could never grow old. Yet within him lies a terrifying gift, the ability to compel affection. People do not merely follow him, they love him irresistibly. In an age defined by control, Miquella alone could have replaced Marika as the next vessel of the Elden Ring. Instead, he rejected that path entirely, seeking not power, but freedom from Golden Order, from curses, from the sins written into the world's foundations. Then comes Morgott, the Veiled King. His body bears the old horns of the Crucible, a remnant of creation's primordial stage before the Erdtree purified it. For this, he was condemned, hidden, shackled, yet he remained loyal to the Golden Order long after it rejected him, its most faithful servant, silently guarding a throne that would never accept him. Morgott is perhaps the most tragic proof that the Golden Order valued purity over devotion. His twin Mohg took a different path. Also born as an omen, he saw in his curse not a punishment, but an opportunity. Turning away from the Golden Order, he made a pact with the outer god of blood, reshaping his destiny into one of crimson hierarchy. His dream was empire, not to inherit the world, but to recreate it in the form of a dynasty born from blood offerings. If Morgott represents loyalty to a broken system, Mohg represents the rebellion that system inevitably breeds. And then there is Radagon's line, shaped by a vessel who was both himself and Marika. General Radahn, apprentice of the stars, learned gravity magic strong enough to arrest the movement of constellations. He became the last great shield of the Golden Order, holding destiny itself hostage. Ricard, consumed by the Great Serpent, abandoned the Order to forge a blasphemous religion around devouring gods. Rani, the Lunar Witch, refused to serve the greater will at all, splitting her own soul from her body on the Night of Black Knives to escape the fate of becoming a divine puppet. Each demigod is not just a character, but a contradiction, a reminder that even the children of gods cannot escape the competing wills that shape them. They are versions of what the greater will wanted, what rival outer gods desired, and what Marika herself feared. And when the Elden Ring shattered, these contradictions ignited. The Shattering War was not just a conflict between siblings, it was a collision of cosmic ideologies fought through the bodies of a cursed generation. To understand the shape of the lands between, we must look beyond its gods and demigods. In demigods, a world is not made by its rulers, but by its people, those who walk its soil, breathe its wind, and suffer under its laws. In the lands between, every species, every culture, bears the imprint of cosmic design. Some were shaped by grace, some were rejected by it, others were forced underground or molded by darker forces. Together, they form a tapestry of lives, caught between obedience and despair. The most familiar among them are humans, those who once walked beneath grace like children under a guiding lantern. When the Golden Order flourished, humans followed its radiance without question. But when grace dimmed, they became tarnished, exiles cast from the land, stripped of divine favor. And yet, it was only when the Elden Ring fractured that the tarnished were called home, drawn back like fragments, seeking to repair the whole. Their return was not a celebration, but a function of cosmic necessity. When a system breaks, it searches for pieces that can set it right. Then there are the knights, shaped by the order not merely in duty, but in ideology. Ordinary knights serve the realm with unquestioning faith, but the banished knights stand as symbols of what happens when loyalty falters. The Golden Order did not tolerate imperfection. Those who wavered were expelled, their armor weathered by regret. Through them, the world reveals its harsh truth that purity mattered more than service. Meanwhile, groups like the Hornsent, Misbegotten, and Omen were born from an era older than the Golden Order, an age when the Erd Tree was still the crucible, the primordial cauldron of life. Their forms carry that ancient wildness, horns, wings, and tails, reminiscent of creation before it was sanitized. To the Order, they were reminders of a past that needed erasing. They became outcasts, hunted not for their actions, but for their existence. But the lands between is not just divided on its surface. It is split vertically between the sky and the deep earth. Beneath the world lie the Nox, creators of the eternal cities, Nokron, Noxtella, and Ainsel. These were once civilizations that defied the Erd Tree, seeking to build their own cosmology free from divine oversight. For their rebellion, they were banished underground, where they crafted an artificial night sky of black quartz. Their cities shimmer with starlight. They were denied, monuments to a dream of autonomy that cost them their place in the sun. The Albinorics, in contrast, were not banished, but engineered. These artificial beings, divided across generations, represent humanity's attempt to create life independent of divine will. Some limped on frail legs, others bore smooth, uncanny faces. All of them reflected the Golden Order's distrust of anything resembling unsanctioned creation. They were tolerated, but never accepted, evidence of a world that feared its own ingenuity. And then there are those who live in death, wandering corpses animated by Godwin's corrupted roots. The Order condemned them as abominations, yet their existence is merely the consequence of its own attempt to seal destined death. They are living proof that suppressing a cosmic law does not erase it. It only twists its return. Finally, the followers of rival outer gods form their own grim cults, kindred of rot and clean-rot knights, loyal to the rot god's cycle of decay and renewal. Fire giants, bound to the fell god's eternal flame. Deathbirds and mausoleum knights, guardians of the twin birds' forgotten doctrine of death and rebirth. Frenzied flame followers who embrace a philosophy of absolute dissolution, wishing to unmake every law. Each of these groups is more than a faction. They are reflections of competing truths, different visions of what existence should be, different answers to the question, what is life, when gods write its definition. Power in the lands between is not measured in armies or wealth, but in ideology. The world is a vast courtroom, and every living being, mortal or divine, moves under the shadow of laws they did not choose. These laws are enforced not only through might, but through belief, hierarchy, ritual, and fear. To understand the lands between, we must understand not just its rulers, but the invisible systems that bind all life to a cosmic framework. At the center of this framework stands the Golden Order, the doctrinal machinery of the greater will. Its emissaries, the two fingers, serve as interpreters of divine intention. They do not speak, but gesture, moving in cryptic patterns that scholars translate into doctrine. Their silence is itself a kind of authority, implying that the greater will's desires transcend human language. Below them lies the Elden beast, the living embodiment of the Elden ring. It is not a guardian, it is an enforcement mechanism, a cosmic creature tasked with ensuring that the laws written into the ring remain unbroken. The Elden beast does not act from emotion or judgment, but from purpose. In its presence, the distinction between creature and concept begins to fade. Supporting this divine hierarchy are the fundamentalists, scholars who study the golden logic of the order. They attempt to make sense of the world by mapping its metaphysical laws, time, soul, form, rebirth, into a coherent philosophical system. For them, faith is not merely belief, but mathematics, a divine algorithm that must be followed for reality to remain stable. Together, these institutions form the Golden Order's central objectives: the suppression of natural death through the sealing of destined death, the purification of lineage through the persecution of omen misbegotten and any being tied to the crucible's primordial form, and the preservation of immortal governance, ensuring that the world remains locked in a cycle where the Golden Order's supremacy cannot be challenged. But every system of control creates its own resistance. In the shadows, literal and metaphorical counter-religions emerged, each one rejecting the Golden Order in its own way. The frenzied flame worships chaos in its purest state. Its followers believe that true equality can only be achieved when all laws are burned away. To them, the Golden Order is not just flawed, it is oppressive. The frenzied flame calls for a world without hierarchy, without gods, without rules, a reset through fire. In contrast, Rani's doctrine of the Age of Stars offers a quieter rebellion. She seeks independence, not through destruction, but through distance. By removing the lands between from the influence of all outer gods, including the greater will, she envisions a world where mortals can shape their own destinies. Her philosophy is cold, vast, and serene, a future guided by the lunar mysteries rather than divine authority. Mog's dynasty of blood, however, embraces domination rather than liberation. Through blood communion, sacrifice, and grotesque transformation, Mog hopes to create a new order with himself as its god king. His world would be built not on grace or freedom, but on coercion, unity enforced through devotion and fear. Beyond these movements lie the unspoken rules that shape daily life. In the lands between, body and spirit are one, therefore, physical form determines spiritual value. The pure form doctrine dictates who is worthy of grace and who must be cast out. The omen's horns are seen as sin, the misbegotten's wings as shame. Even appearance becomes a theological sentence. The immortality law of the Golden Order brands true death as corruption, making practitioners of destined death into heretics. And to act against grace, to question it, to flee from it, is to commit treason against the very structure of reality. These beliefs fuel a culture of holy war, where conflicts between demigods are not political disputes, but cosmic arguments, each battle a clash between different visions of how the world should function. In the lands between, faith is not optional. It is the architecture of existence itself. In the lands between, reality does not flow freely. It does not evolve, or adapt, or change by its own will. Instead, it is held in place by a lattice of cosmic laws, codes written into existence by the greater will and enforced through the Elden Ring. To live in this world is to live inside a system, a set of rules that define what life may become, what death may mean, and what fate is permitted to unfold. And nowhere are these rules more visible than in the three fundamental laws that shape all existence. The first is the law of immortality, born from the sealing of destined death. When the greater will arrived, it reshaped the boundaries of life by defining death not as a natural transition, but as a removable feature of reality. The rune of death, the principle that governs the death of the soul, was carved out of the Elden Ring and entrusted to Malekith, Marika's loyal shadow. With its removal, the world became a place where true death no longer existed. Bodies could fall, but spirits were restrained. Ghosts wandered. Demigods endured for centuries. The living never fully left. This enforced immortality created fractures in the world's natural rhythm. When Godwin died, the first soul to perish in a world where souls should not, his death became a contradiction, a cosmic error. From this error spread the death root, twisting through the roots of the Erd tree, warping the land, producing horrors that should never have existed. Deathbirds rose as malformed custodians of a death that had nowhere to go. Those who live in death wandered, not as monsters, but as reminders that a world without true death is a world without balance. The second principle is the law of light, the distribution and withdrawal of grace. Grace is not merely illumination. It is the signal of divine approval, the connection to the greater will's will. When grace shines upon a person, they are recognized, seen by the cosmic authority. They receive purpose, direction. Meaning, when grace fades, its absence becomes exile. Those who lose grace become tarnished, no longer connected to the network of laws that govern the lands between. But grace can fracture, and it did. When the Elden Ring shattered, grace splintered into competing fragments. Each great rune carried its own derivative law, its own interpretation of order, and the world became a landscape of conflicting subsystems. What had once been a unified code of creation now became a battleground of incompatible principles. The third law is the law of material and will, anchored in the physical presence of the Erd tree. The Erd tree is more than a divine symbol. It is the core server of the world's metaphysical system. It processes rebirth, stores spirit, and distributes grace. Every miracle, every resurrection, every blessing flows through its golden architecture. As long as the Erd Tree stands, the laws of the Golden Order remain intact. But when the Erd Tree denies entry to the dead, souls become trapped in limbo, caught between existence and erasure. And when the Erd Tree burns, the laws it upholds burn with it. Every cycle, every rule, every binding instruction is reset. The world enters a state of raw potential, a chance to be rewritten entirely. These three laws, immortality, light, and material will, form the skeleton of reality in the lands between. And when one fractures, the others tremble. Together they reveal a truth the Golden Order tried to hide. This world is not stable, it is maintained. And anything maintained can one day be undone. In the lands between, nothing truly ends. Power does not fade. It loops. Every era is built upon the ashes of the one before it, reshaped, but never fully new. The outer gods do not rule through permanence. They rule through cycles, and each cycle follows the same, unchanging rhythm: establishment, decay, and rebirth. To witness these cycles is to understand that the world is not governed by destiny, but by repetition. The first movement of the cycle is establishment, when an outer god succeeds in imposing its cosmology upon the world. The greater will arrived as light, falling through the void, carrying with it not armies, but laws. Its rules became the Elden Ring, its voice became the two fingers, and its chosen vessel, Marika, or any Empyrean it might have selected, became the living anchor of its order. With the vessel enthroned, the system flourished. The Erd Tree grew vast and brilliant, spreading grace like a shimmering network across the world. Souls aligned beneath its radiance. Civilization took shape around its expectations. Yet no outer god rules alone. As one system rises, others begin to resist. Competing divine forces: rot, frenzy, death, observe, adapt, and eventually push back. A cycle cannot remain in equilibrium while rival gods exist. This leads inevitably to the second movement: decay. Every order, once powerful enough, begins to fear what came before it. The Golden Order, in its prime, turned its gaze toward the Crucible, the primordial era that preceded it, and sought to erase all traces of that untamed past. Beings with horns, wings, or tails, living relics of the Crucible, were branded impure and hunted. The fire giants, keepers of a forbidden flame, were nearly exterminated. Deathbirds, agents of an older death, were driven into the shadows. Suppression, however, does not destroy cosmic laws. It merely distorts them, and distortion spreads like illness. Scarlet rot seeped into Kaled. Deathroot spread beneath the Erd Tree. Misbegotten and Omen rebelled against their imposed shame. The Nox, banished below the earth for defying the Erd Tree, tended their cities of false stars. As contradictions piled atop contradictions, the system began to fail under its own weight. The grace fractured. The Elden Ring groaned under the strain of its missing rune. The world no longer obeyed its own rules. Then comes the final movement, the inevitable conclusion: collapse and restart. A disruption breaks the cycle wide open, a violation so profound that the system cannot withstand it. The Night of Black Knives shattered the law of immortality. Marika's destruction of the Elden Ring shattered the law of order. With the foundation broken, the world spiraled into conflict. Demigods, each carrying fragments of the broken ring, waged war to rewrite reality according to their own visions. And when the battle quiets, when the dust settles, the world stands at the threshold of a new age. These ages are not simple historical periods, they are full rewrites of existence. The Age of Order, strengthening and refining the Golden Order. The Age of Stars, severing the world from all outer gods under Rani's lunar guidance. The Age of the Frenzied Flame, burning the system clean to begin again from nothing. Each age is a restart, a patch, a new version of the world's firmware, and through it all the cycle continues, because as long as the outer gods exist, reality will always be rewritten in their image, again and again, without end. To understand why the lands between is forever trapped in conflict, we must look beyond its kingdoms, beyond its demigods, and beyond its gold-lit horizon. The true war of this world is not fought by mortals or nobles. It is waged silently by outer gods, vast forces whose intentions shape the laws of reality itself. Their battles are invisible, yet their consequences mark every inch of the land. Among these cosmic forces, the greater will is the most dominant, enforcing a vision of unyielding order, immortality, hierarchy, and the radiance of grace. Through the Elden Ring, it writes laws that bind life into structure, but it is not alone. Around it gather rivals, each carrying a competing doctrine of existence. The Rot God seeks a world shaped through decomposition, a cycle of decay and rebirth modeled after fungal growth. To this outer god, corruption is not disease, but transformation. The lands consumed by scarlet rot are not failures, they are its gardens. The ancient twin bird, once associated with a forgotten god of death, longs to restore the natural cycle of mortality, the dance of ending and beginning that the Golden Order tried to suppress. Its followers, half bird and half ghast, wander as grim reminders that death is meant to be a rhythm, not a punishment. The frenzied flame, burning beneath the capital's foundations, preaches an opposite philosophy that all laws, even those of life and death, are forms of oppression. Only by reducing the world to a single burning truth, chaos, can freedom be achieved. And far to the north, the fell god of fire remembers a time before the Erd tree, when primal flame shaped the land without constraint. It wishes to reclaim that era, unshackling fire from divine control. No outer god is benevolent. Each seeks to overwrite the rules of the world, and their chosen tools are the people who inhabit it. Unable to intervene directly, these cosmic beings express their will through vessels and empyreans, individuals capable of altering the Elden Ring itself. Marika, Rani, and Miquella are not simply leaders, they are conduits through which these greater ideologies flow. Marika attempted to sever herself from the greater will, shattering the Elden Ring in a desperate bid for autonomy. Rani chose a colder path, rejecting all outer gods entirely, even if it meant abandoning her own flesh. Miquella, ever gentle yet ever resolute, sought to fix the original sins written into the world's foundations by leaving the Golden Order behind and returning to the land of shadow. The frenzied flame offered its own bargain: burn everything, destroy all laws, and remake existence from nothing. It was at the moment of the shattering that these ideologies collided, not in debate, but in action, through demigods, assassinations, rebellions, and celestial uprisings. And when the dust settled, the world stood at the edge of renewal. To truly break the cycle of divine control, one must do what no demigod has ever fully accomplished: slay the Elden beast, the living vessel of the Elden ring, free Marika and Radagon from the roles the greater will chained them to, erase the Golden Order, not just politically, but cosmologically. Only then can a new age emerge. Some ages offer liberation, though at a cost. In the Age of Stars, Rani pulls the lands between into a distant, cold freedom, untouched by gods, guided by lunar fate. In the Age of the Frenzied Flame, the world is consumed completely, every rule shattered, every form erased, returning existence to a state without hierarchy or shape. These endings may seem extreme, but they reveal a single truth. In the lands between, peace cannot exist while gods continue to write the rules. Inhale, take a slow breath, and let the world around you soften. In this quiet moment, imagine yourself standing beneath the towering shadow of the Erd Tree. Not the Erd Tree of triumph and golden splendor, but the Erd Tree as it exists now, its light drifting downward in faint, fragile flakes, like embers of memory floating through the still air. Now hold it. Let that light fill you, not brightly, but quietly, like a lantern covered by a thin veil. Feel the golden particles settling gently on your skin, warm at first, then cool, like dust left behind by a fading dream. Each tiny speck carries a piece of the world's forgotten law, a fragment of the cosmic code that once held everything in perfect harmony. As you breathe in, imagine the air shimmering. Imagine the entire lands between folding into your lungs, every voice, every ruin, every fragment of grace becoming a soft pulse inside your chest. Stay with the breath suspended. Sense the tension of the cosmos. In this stillness, the golden particles stop drifting. They hover around you, trembling slightly, as if listening. Feel the laws of the world, the rules that govern life, death, form, and fate, gather and quiver in this moment. It is as though the entire fabric of the lands between hangs by a single thread, and your breath is the thing keeping it from unraveling. The rot waiting patiently beneath the earth, the greater will watching with its unseen gaze, the twin birds circling the edge of night, all of them silent now, paused mid-whisper, their intentions frozen in the air around you. Imagine the way the world might shift if even one thread were plucked, how time would ripple, how laws would bend, how reality itself might tilt in your hands. And the fell god smoldering beneath ancient snow, the frenzied flame stirring deep below the capital. Let yourself feel that possibility without fear. Feel how delicate the world truly is. Feel how close it is to changing. Let the breath move outward, slow and soft, like mist rolling across a forgotten graveyard. As you release the air, imagine the golden fragments loosening their hold on you. They drift away, dissolving into a gentle fog that spreads across the ground. Watch the lands between fade into this mist, its ruins, its mountains, its endless battlegrounds, all swallowed by a quiet, silvery haze. In this softened world, the edges blur. And now, exhale. This is the world between thoughts, the place where laws loosen. Even the Erd Tree stands muted, its silhouette softened by the drifting fog. The noise of conflict disappears. Take a slow breath and let the world around you soften. In this quiet moment, imagine yourself standing beneath the towering shadow of the Erd tree. Not the Erd tree of triumph and golden splendor, but the Erd tree as it exists now, its light drifting downward in faint, fragile flakes, like embers of memory floating through the still air. Inhale, feel the golden particles settling gently on your skin, warm at first, then cool, like dust left behind by a fading dream. Each tiny speck carries a piece of the world's forgotten law, a fragment of the cosmic code that once held everything in perfect harmony. As you breathe in, imagine the air shimmering. Imagine the entire lands between folding into your lungs, every voice, every ruin, every fragment of grace becoming a soft pulse inside your chest. Let that light fill you, not brightly, but quietly, like a lantern covered by a thin veil. Now hold it. Stay with the breath suspended. In this stillness, the golden particles stop drifting. They hover around you, trembling slightly, as if listening. Feel the laws of the world, the rules that govern life, death, form, and fate, gather and quiver in this moment. It is as though the entire fabric of the lands between hangs by a single thread, and your breath is the thing keeping it from unraveling. Sense the tension of the cosmos, the greater will watching with its unseen gaze, the rot waiting patiently beneath the earth, the twin birds circling the edge of night, the frenzied flame stirring deep below the capital, and the fell god smoldering beneath ancient snow. All of them silent now, paused mid-whisper, their intentions frozen in the air around you. Imagine the way the world might shift if even one thread were plucked, how time would ripple, how laws would bend, how reality itself might tilt in your hands. Let yourself feel that possibility without fear. Feel how delicate the world truly is. Feel how close it is to changing. And now, exhale. Let the breath move outward, slow and soft, like mist rolling across a forgotten graveyard. As you release the air, imagine the golden fragments loosening their hold on you. They drift away, dissolving into a gentle fog that spreads across the ground. Watch the lands between fade into this mist, its ruins, its mountains, its endless battlegrounds, all swallowed by a quiet, silvery haze. In this softened world, the edges blur. The noise of conflict disappears. Even the Erd tree stands muted, its silhouette softened by the drifting fog. This is the world between thoughts, the place where laws loosen, where gods watch from far above, patient and calculating, where grace flickers like a candle nearly spent, where anything tragedy or renewal could happen next. Let yourself rest here. Let the fog cradle your senses. Let the world continue breathing on its own without asking anything of you. And when you step ready, simply drift with it, not as a tarnished, not as a warrior, but as a quiet witness to a world on the edge of rewriting itself, waiting for the next breath, the next change, the next age to begin. In the end, Elden Ring is not a tale about gods, but about those who dared to push against the very rules that shaped existence. No order lasts forever. Every age rises, fractures, and is rewritten by the will of those bold enough to challenge the laws beneath their feet. Thank you for wandering through these forgotten archives of the lands between with me. And if tonight you hear a faint whisper in the dark, perhaps it is just an outer god drafting its next decree. Sleep well in the golden mist where order and chaos take turns